Hey, you're right, welcome to another video. If you haven't been here before, my name is Georgia Jo and this is my channel where I talk all things books. So today I am unfortunately doing a book unhaul. I have decided to get rid of quite a few of my books, to be honest, for a few different reasons. I want to make more space, as always. I want to only really have books that I absolutely loved or that I can see myself reading. A few of them I've not actually read yet. And then I've got some duplicates, and also I'm going to be living by myself soon, so I'm trying to get a bit more money together for when that does happen. So I'm going to be putting all of these on Vinted to try and make, you know, a little bit of extra income for books that I don't really need or want. So yeah, I'm unhauling quite a few of them. They will all be on my Vinted. I'll put the link to that in the description, so if you do fancy buying any of these, they will be up there when this video goes out. So yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so the first book we've got is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. So I have read this book. I actually think I read it on my Kindle, to be honest, so this one's completely new pretty much. I actually will be carrying on this series, but I have got a set with the 3 books in. The main trilogy. I think there's other books, but they're like spin-offs from it. But the main trilogy, I've actually got a box with the 3 of them in, so I don't need 2 of this book. So that's the only reason I'm getting rid of this one. I will be carrying it on. I've only read this one. It's like a YA mystery thriller, a little bit like Good Girl Guide to Murder vibes, not remotely the same story, but those kind of vibes. So yeah, I like I say, I'll be carrying on this one. I just don't need 2 of this book. So that's the first one. Next up we have Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Webber. So this is the first one in a trilogy. Yeah, there's Cursed Crowns and Burning Crowns, but I only had the first one. So this is it's a YA fantasy about 2 sisters. One grew up in like a part of the royal family, grew up in the palace, and then one grew up sort of on the wrong side of the tracks, and it's kind of following their 2 storylines and them like crossing paths and things like that. But I don't think I'm going to carry on this series, so that's why I'm getting rid of this one. Like I say, I only have this one, but I just can't see myself carrying it on. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like that bothered about it, you know, not that invested. So I just thought there's no point in me keeping it if I'm not going to carry on the series. And if I ever do want to carry it on, I'm sure I'll be able to, you know, find them again on Vinted if I really fancy reading it in a year's time or whatever. But I just don't really foresee that happening. So yeah, that is Twin Crowns. And then we have got Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. This is the only Ali Hazelwood book that I've read and enjoyed. I've read a couple of others, but I didn't really enjoy them. I did enjoy this one. I actually think I gave it 4 stars, but I'm just not that bothered about having it on my shelf. I think if I enjoyed all of Ali Hazelwood's other books, I would probably want them as like a collection, you know, but I'm just not that fussed about it. I can't see myself reading it again or ever really reaching for it, and it probably wouldn't really come to my mind to recommend it unless someone specifically wanted, I think I'm pretty sure it was YA romance that includes chess, you know. I can't really foresee myself recommending it, so that's why I just thought, you know, there's no point in having it on my shelf if I'm not really that fussed about it. So yeah, Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. And then we have got The Kiss Curse and The X-Hex by Erin Sterling. The same thing with these. I enjoyed them at the time of reading them. I can't see myself reading them again. I think there are other books in this series, but I'm not that bothered about reading them. I think these would only ever come off my shelf if I was recommending like witchy books in like October time. But other than that, I can't really see myself ever reaching for them or thinking of them. So yeah, I just thought I may as well get rid of them. No point in me having them if I'm not that fussed. I think I probably gave them both 3 stars, maybe even 4 stars. I honestly can't remember. I couldn't really tell you much about them either, other than they were like witchy romances. So yeah, that's those 2. And then a very similar vibe to these 2, From Bad to Cursed and Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. So I'm pretty sure they were both, oh no, this one is a sapphic witchy romance, I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, and then this one is just a man and a woman. I think that's right. And they are part of like a interconnected standalone series based in a small town, I want to say. Is this the Witches Grove one? Yeah, Witches of Thistle Grove it's based in like a small town. Anyway, same vibe as the other two. The witchy romances, but I'll probably never pick them up again. I enjoyed them at the time of reading, but not really that fussed about them, so hopefully someone else will be able to enjoy them a bit more. And then we have Night Shift by Annie Crown. This one is a romance where he is like the sort of basketball like superstar in school, and she is a bit of a book nerd, and it's following their romance. I'm pretty sure I didn't really enjoy this book. I think I was just a little bit bored throughout it, but I think that's more so just because it wasn't for me, you know, more than the actual books issue, because I've seen a lot of people talk about this and really enjoy it, but yeah, it just wasn't really for me. But it's a cute romance, just not one that I was like too bothered about. And then we have Warrior Girl Unearthed and Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. So I haven't read Firekeeper's Daughter, and I've read about half of Warrior Girl Unearthed, and honestly I was just a little bit bored. To be honest, when I got these, I'm pretty sure I bought them both off Vinted, and I thought they were fantasy books just because of the front covers. I just completely assumed they were fantasy books. The front covers and also the like titles, like Warrior Girl Unearthed and Firekeeper's Daughter, they just sound to me like fantasy books, so I didn't really look into them properly when I bought them. So I think because I went into it expecting it to be a fantasy book and it's not at all, I was just a little bit bored. It just wasn't for me. So I don't know which one came first, to be honest, but because I read half of this and didn't really enjoy it, I just thought that it's just not for me, you know, this storyline, because they're both based on the same family, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I think someone would really enjoy these. They just weren't for me because they weren't what I was expecting, due to my own fault, because I didn't look into it before I actually bought them. But yeah, the two beautiful hardbacks, really pretty books, just unfortunately not for me. So yeah, Warrior Girl Unearthed and Firekeeper's Daughter. Next up we have Ink by Alice Broadway. So when I read this, I did enjoy it, and I'm pretty sure I did it in a video, and I think I said I will carry on the series, but because I just got so many books that I'm so excited to get to, and there's so many other books that I don't even own yet that I want to read, I just can't see myself carrying on this series, because it wasn't like an amazing book for me, you know. I enjoyed it, but not like loads, you know. It was just a book that like did its job, you know. I enjoyed it, it was entertaining. I'm just not really fussed about carrying it on. It's basically about a fantasy world where when whatever happens in your life gets tattooed onto your body, whether it would be a good or a bad thing. That's kind of the premise of it, I guess. And the main girl's dad ends up being accused of something because of one of his tattoos, something like that. I can't even fully remember the plot, so that's how much I'm not really that fussed about carrying on the series. But I definitely think someone will really enjoy this. It just wasn't for me. Same as all of these, I'm sure someone will really enjoy them, just not necessarily for me. Next up we have The Moonlight Dreamers by Siobhan Curran. I actually really enjoyed this book. It's about like friendships and finding friendships for young girls, I'm pretty sure it was, all from like different, you know, walks of life, all got different sort of aesthetics going on, and they form a friendship. It's a very young coming of age book, I guess. Like I say, I did really enjoy it. I just think I'm probably never going to read it again, and I think someone will really enjoy this book, and it might be a book that someone really needs to read, you know. But yeah, it does read very young, and it is for a younger audience, but I did still enjoy it. I don't mind that sometimes. And yeah, like I say, I just think someone might really need to read this more than it needs to be on my shelf, you know. So yeah, The Moonlight Dreamers. Next up we have Tempest of Tea by Hasfar Faisal. This is actually the Waterstones special edition of it. I just didn't really enjoy this book. I just think books about vampires are just not for me. I don't know why. I feel like I read a couple of them and never really seemed to enjoy them. I've got a few on my TBR, so I'm really hoping that changes, because there's a few that I'm looking forward to get into and reading. But yeah, this one I just didn't enjoy. It's part of a series. A new one comes out soon, but I'm just not really bothered about carrying it on, so there's no point in me having the first one, you know, especially when it's such a pretty book. If someone really enjoys this series, they might want the special edition on the shelves when I'm not going to carry it on. it just seems a bit silly to have the first one on my shelf. So yeah, that is A Tempest of Tea. Next up we have 3 books from the Magnolia Parks universe. So we've got the first one, Magnolia Parks, the first Daisy Hates, which is the second one in this series, and then the latest one, which is the 5th one in this series, which is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. I love this series. I absolutely adore it. I really enjoyed every single book. I'm pretty sure all of them were above 4 stars, and maybe 3 of them even were 5 stars. So I really enjoy this series, but I've got other editions of it, so I just don't need 2 copies of them, you know. I was going to keep them as ones to like lend out, but I don't really have a lot of like reader people in my life that are gonna want to read these, you know. So yeah, it just seems a bit daft to have 2 copies, especially when I've not got the whole collection, you know. So yeah, I just thought I may as well get rid of 3 of them. These are like the new covers, so I have the old covers on my shelf already, so these are the newer ones, but obviously it's not the full collection. It's the 1st, the 2nd and the 5th ones in the collection. So yeah, like I say, there's just no point. I didn't really feel the need to have 2 copies of the same books, especially when they're not like special editions or anything like that, because I think I understand why people have multiple copies. I have multiple copies of Lord of the Rings because I have a set that I got bought by someone, a set that I will lend out, and then a special edition set that I found on Vinted, which I love, so I wouldn't get rid of any of those. But these ones, they're not special editions, like you can buy the set in the works. So yeah, it just seems a bit silly to keep them. So that's those 3. Next up we have The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. This is a thriller, and it was one of my book club books that I have with my sisters and my mum, and I just don't really remember enjoying it. I think I was a little bit bored. I couldn't even tell you anything about the story, honestly, or the like plot twist or anything, the thriller aspect of it. I couldn't really tell you, to be fair. I remember my sister really enjoying it, so I know there were some thriller fans that do enjoy it. It just wasn't really for me. I didn't really rate it, so there's no point in me keeping it. So yeah, that's that one. And then we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. So this is the only Sally Rooney book I've read and that I have, but I'm just not a fan of Sally Rooney's writing because she doesn't use any like speech marks and like punctuation properly, which is part of the, like, it's done purposefully, but I just can't get my head around it. It doesn't make sense in my head. I can't read it properly. So I finished this one. I think I maybe gave it like 3 stars, maybe something like that. Honestly, I can't really remember. I read it a few years ago, but I probably will never pick it up again, and I'm not really fussed about keeping it and having it on my shelf. So yeah, and I don't think I'll read any more Sally Rooney books because, like I said, it's just not for me. It doesn't make sense in my brain, doesn't work how my brain works. So yeah, I just think there's no point in keeping it on my shelves. Next we have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. So this is the Works special edition paperback. So I actually have the hardback version of this, so I thought there's no point in me keeping the paperback. I enjoyed this. I gave it like a 3 stars, I think, maybe even 3.5, and I am going to carry on the series, but I've got the hardback and it's not like wow, absolutely love this series one, so I don't feel the need to have multiple copies or like special editions of it or anything. So I just thought someone might really want the cool edition of it. It is very pretty, sprayed edges. I wasn't that much of a fan of it, you know, to want both copies. So yeah, Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher, with, I'm pretty sure it was from the Works. I think it's the Works special edition. Next up we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. So this one is part of a series. I'm pretty sure the 3rd one very recently came out, and I'm just not really fussed about this series. I don't think I really enjoyed this very much. I don't know if it was the time I was reading it or like how I was reading it, because I was reading little bits every day before I was going to sleep, but I just didn't really enjoy it, and which is not, I wasn't expecting that because it's a cozy fantasy and it has so many good reviews and people really enjoy it, but it's just unfortunately not for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I have no interest in reading the other 2 books that came out, so someone might really enjoy this a lot more than I have. So yeah, I thought may as well get rid of this one. Then we have How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. I didn't really enjoy this one. It's a thriller. I just didn't, I think I read it quite quickly after I read Sweet Pea by, I can't remember the author, CJ Scoose or something like that. And I really enjoyed Sweet Pea, and then I read this and I just didn't enjoy it at all. And I don't know if it's because I read it so quickly after Sweet Pea, and it's another like female murderer essentially. But yeah, I just wasn't bothered about the character. I wasn't bothered about like her storyline. I've never really thought about it again. Wouldn't recommend it, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, it got really good like reviews on it. A lot of people really enjoyed it, but it just wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy it that much. So yeah, How to Kill Your Family. And then last but not least, this one, these 3 books I really wasn't sure if I was going to get rid of or not, but I had a real talking to myself, and it's just, I need to just get rid of them because I'm just not really that bothered about them. And it is the first 3 books in the Fourth Wing series, or the Empyrean series it's called. So you've got Fourth Wing, Iron Flame and Onyx Storm. So these 3 books, Fourth Wing I actually gave 5 stars to. Really enjoyed, loved the world, loved the sort of like school aspect of it, the war school aspect, loved the dragons and the people that could hear the dragons. Really loved that aspect of it. Really enjoyed this book. Felt a lot of emotions whilst reading it, and I really got into it. So I ended up giving that one 5 stars. But then I read Iron Flame, and I'm pretty sure this got 2 stars from me, and that was generous. And I also think I said it was my most disappointing read of 2023. So not the best write-up, but I thought, let's carry on with it, give the rest of it a go. And then I read Onyx Storm and was really disappointed in this. I can't really remember what rating I give it. It might have been 2 or 3, but it would probably be a 2 stars. I didn't have a Scooby-Doo what was going on in this book, honestly. I didn't really like the characters that much, and I just thought, I think I only read this one because of all the hype around it and was worried about getting FOMO. I think if these books weren't as like hyped as they are, I probably wouldn't have picked this up. I wouldn't have been bothered about it because I didn't really enjoy Iron Flame. But because they were, and so many people were talking about it, and I didn't want to feel left out, I read it. And I just think that's not like a good enough reason to carry on this series when I think it's going to be like 5 or 6 books or something, and I'm just not that bothered about it. I just don't really care, you know. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in Onyx Storm, and I only read it like, well, I read it when it came out, so what, like a month ago or something. So I think if this book series wasn't as popular, I definitely wouldn't carry on reading it. So therefore I'm not actually enjoying it, you know. I'm reading it because everyone else is. So I just don't want to carry on the series, basically. I don't really have any interest in carrying it on, so there's no point me having those 3 on my shelves. It's a shame because Fourth Wing I really loved, but yeah, I'm just really not that bothered about it. Also, there's a lot of stuff going around about the author and how problematic she is, and I just think I don't need them on my shelves. I don't want them on my shelves, so I'm going to get rid of them, you know. So yeah, those are the last 3 from my unhaul. So we've got in total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 20 21 22 23 24 books that I'm getting rid of, making a lot of room on my shelves that is very needed, and having a good cleanse of books that I just don't want or didn't enjoy or can't foresee myself reading, or I've got duplicates of, for whatever reason. I'm getting rid of them, so they'll all be on Vinted. And yeah, that is the end of today's video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did and you'd like to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. But other than that, I will see you in a bit.